7:42. Welcome to Great Day for this Tuesday, third day of December. Lou, Jackie, and Jason here. Coming up on Totally Serious News in just a little bit. Things that will cost less after the holidays that you might want to pay attention to. But Ron the Car Guy is here, and he's going to be talking about something that costs less right now. But before we talk about something that costs less right now, we have to correct something you said last week, because you are the master of providing some of the greatest information when it comes to cars that anybody's ever seen. But last week,
misinformation.
Put your hand out. Put your hand out. Now, other way around.
Are you slapping it?
Oh, no!
Slapping your hand for misinformation.
Can I get a spanking, too?
But in a good way. But this is in a good way, isn't it?
No,
It is.
Like,
It
you
is.
saw what happened to Laura Logan. You're going to have to take a leave of absence.
No, this is really cool, because we learned about this when we got done last week on the program, and we went over and visited with Ron. And tell everybody what we talked about last week and how you're going to correct it and make it even better.
Well, last week we had talked about the headlight upgrades that we offer. And I think they're amazing. I use them on my vehicle. And there's one that's called the Long Light, L-O-N-G-L-I-T-E. And I had let everybody know that it added an additional 80 feet of distance to your existing headlights on your vehicle.
Right.
And I was wrong.
Uh-oh.
When I got back, I got to reviewing the literature and stuff. It's not 80 feet.
See that? He just spews things out.
I know.
We take it for gospel.
The Better Business Bureau is going to be calling, because that's misadvertising. It's 120
Isn't that great?
Wow.
that it adds
To what you already have.
where you already have. I mean, that's another 40 yards if I do the
Right.
math correctly. And I mean, it's huge, and you can, and it's a brighter light, but I mean, you can tell driving this. And I know Lou came out. We put some in your car.
Put some in the Taurus. Yeah.
And I'm curious what your experience was, because I think they're awesome.
I can tell you, but I think it's better if we show you, because we knew that we were going to get the lights changed out. Now look past those two signs on the right. You see that little? I tried to take a picture in the same spot.
And this is the Lou mobile.
Yeah, two different.
There's a man on crutches just beyond those signs.
Okay, you see that little light, that little tiny light spot in the middle there on the
Right.
road? Okay. Now, ready for the next one? Ready to get a load of this?
That's pretty
Can you
good.
see a little bit further?
Oh, yeah, and you can see the railroad crossing.
That's what it is. It's a
Yeah, you
railroad
couldn't see
crossing.
that at all.
You couldn't
Yeah.
even tell what it was
Yeah.
over there. And here's another one, but here's what I want you to pay attention to. This one I missed a little bit, but watch the side of the road, how much more you can see on the side of the road with the deer that are jumping out nowadays. Look at that.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay.
And that's been typical of the response that we're getting from people. I mean, this is, for something as easy as changing out a couple of headlight bulbs.
And it took maybe 20 minutes, half hour.
Yeah, that's because my guys were on break for 15
Yeah, they were
when
driving
arrived.
the car
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
I saw skid marks in the parking lot.
Yeah, they had to
but-
run down to Casey's and get
Yeah.
a pop and stuff. Yeah.
So I bought.
I'm not going to use their gas.
Yeah. No, but it's real. And the thing, what was I'm trying to think what the total was, like $50. Total,
Yep, with
for
tax
both,
and stuff.
For like 50.
Well, that's
51.
because we've got the KCWI 23 special last
and
week.
That was last week.
That was last week. We had a special buy on those from Napa.
Right.
And we ran out. I mean, I was impressed with the response that we had. This was the only place that we promoted it, and we ran out. And so I talked with our Napa rep, and we got another package. It's going to be the last package they can offer of this.
Okay.
So we've extended that through this week. If you come in before Friday, as long as we don't run out again, we will install those headlight bulbs for $23 a piece. And that's less than what you can go to the parts store and buy them for.
Now, when did I put these in on must have been Tuesday.
Tuesday. You came out after
right
the show,
after the show on Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning driving into work. So impressed with this, I called and I brought my truck over for the hauler. It's at his place now, and dumped it off over the weekend. So you guys can.
It needs
put 'em
more
in.
got too, by the way.
It was full when I brought it
Yeah,
over.
we were running parts with it yesterday.
No, but seriously, it impressed me to the point where I got the other vehicle done too. Now, Kathy has a newer vehicle who has those lights already in them.
The HID lights
Yeah,
already.
She already has
Yep.
those in there. So I have these are regular lights. You just pop them in.
Exactly.
For 51 bucks.
Exactly.
Total.
Yep, with
Both
tax
lights.
and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but that's going on till Friday then.
That'll go on till Friday.
All right. Now you have something else in front of you that's going to be very important from what Jason says in about 48 hours, less than 48 hours.
It's going to get cold.
Yeah, big
again.
time.
And I want to talk a little bit about some tips on heaters. And this certainly isn't inclusive of all the problems you can have with a heater on your car, but this is some of the common stuff that we see. And we're going to see it. The minute the temperatures dip down below 10, people are going to come in, and their heater that was working mediocrely before, they're going to come in and say, I don't have any heat, my car is not warm, it doesn't defrost, et cetera, et cetera. And probably the simplest thing that we run into is this guy right here.
Really?
The majority of the cars out there have them.
Okay.
Everybody forgets about them or is unaware that they have them. This is what they call your cabin filter.
Okay.
And this filters all the air that comes through your heater and your air conditioning system, just like your furnace filter that you have at home. And so we've all been driving around with these all summer long, sucking in the dirt and the pollen and everything, and it'll have a nice layer of crust and dirt on it here. And if we can't get air sucked through this, there's going to be less air that blows through the heater and heats up the inside of your car. I mean, it's just that simple. So if you don't know if your car has a cabin air filter, give us a call. We can tell you. If you are aware that it has one and it hasn't been changed out for a while, now would be a good time to do that.
What does something like that cost?
These run between $35 and $40 installed, depending on the type of vehicle. Some are more high-tech than others. Some actually has like some charcoal activation in it and stuff to help clean the air up. But there's two reasons that cars have cabin air filters. One, they want the air coming into the car to be healthy for you. That's the first reason we all think of. But more importantly, the manufacturers have made the heaters and the air conditioning systems smaller to fit into the cars, and so we can't have dirt getting in there and plugging up any of it, or it's not going to work real well.
Okay.
So it's actually made more to protect the system than to keep you healthy, but you buy them because it keeps you healthy, and you will stay warm if your heater works.
Okay.
So that's the easiest and most important thing to take a look at.
Now, how often should you change these out? Because to be honest with you, I don't believe I've ever changed a cabin air filter.
You know, that's a great question, Lou. A lot of it depends on your driving, but typically you will replace this filter once or twice a year.
A year? Really?
A year.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we get it.
Or never in my case.
Well,
Well, is it part of a checkup when you get when you do an oil change or something? Is that part of an inspection?
It is at my place.
Okay.
I don't know about every place because sometimes they're a little bit difficult to get to. I mean, they're mounted up under the dash,
they always
or
do that.
you've got to take a panel off to get to it or something like that.
Okay.
But I mean, that's our responsibility to check that for you.
Okay.
And we get. I'll email you. I've got some pictures. I didn't save it, but we get some of these. And I'll put it up on our Facebook page. We get some of these that are just horrid looking. I mean, you know, rodents stuck in it.
I smell
like
contest
nests.
at West Side
No,
Auto.
I'm serious. I'm serious. We have some really nasty looking filters, and they usually come in with a complaint of either a smell or my heater or my air conditioning. It works, but it doesn't quite work like it used to.
Mm-hmm. You get in some people's car and it smells like a foot. Is that probably why?
Well,
If there's a foot caught in your air cleaner,
the first thing we go for is the gym sock underneath the seat. That's usually the cost. But anyway, that's something important. The other thing I wanted to just talk briefly on, and you know, this is something I take for granted because I'm a car guy, but a lot of people don't understand how their heater works.
So ever since I've been 16, I've heard about this mythical thing called the heater core.
Absolutely.
What is the heater
You've
core?
never seen one,
I've
have
never
you?
seen a heater core.
Out of sight is out of mind.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah. Now, I know initially you thought this was a radiator for a smart car.
That's what it looks like.
And while sometimes they're about that big, no, this is actually a heater core that goes inside your vehicle.
Okay.
And it's mounted in the dashwork, behind the glove box where you can't see it, touch it, feel it, or smell it. And then these protrude into the engine compartment, and this is where heater hoses hook onto it.
Okay.
And basically, the way a heater works is the antifreeze that's in your radiator in your engine. The engine heats up the antifreeze so it gets warm.
Okay.
The water pump pumps it through these tubes and back into the engine. So now we have hot antifreeze circulating through this inside your dash, just like a radiator. And then you have the fan that you turn on to get your heater to defrost, and the fan sucks air through the cabin air filter,
Okay.
blows it through the heater core, which heats the air up because we have hot antifreeze rolling through here, and voila, we have heat.
We have heat. Okay.
So it works actually that simply. The problem with heater cores that you run into is, and I have an issue with this, but some manufacturers have extended, drain periods, coolant flush periods on cars. I mean, to well over 100,000 miles. Well, that antifreeze that's floating around in the car then picks up dirt and debris and stuff inside, and as it goes through the heater core, you can see these thin lines here, not the fins, but the thin lines. That thin line is a passage that the antifreeze goes through, so it doesn't take much to plug this up. So now the heater core becomes plugged. You don't have as much heat as you used to. And the unfortunate part about a heater core is on many, many cars, it's hours and hours of removal of the dash.
Because it's just buried.
It's like when they go to build a car, they grab a heater core off a shelf. This is the first part they grab. And then they construct the whole car around it because it's about that easy to change it. and so, I mean, to spend $800, $1,000, $1,200 to replace a $100 component.
Yeah, that's about $100, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just not uncommon.
Wow.
And so I think it's important to flush your cooling system a little more often maybe than what the manufacturer recommends to prevent this.
Okay.
The other thing is over time these will leak. They've got O-rings inside these tubes that rotate that'll leak. If the coolant gets acidic, it'll rot out or eat away on here.
The welds.
Exactly. And so, but if it's not leaking and it's just plugged, here's a tip. Here's something that you could have them try. Is they can backflush a heater core. And what that is let's say the coolant comes in through the big tube, goes through here, and goes out through the little tube, and it gets partially restricted. You've got some heat, but not enough heat. What we will do is we've got a machine. We'll unhook the heater hoses. We can hook a machine up to this, and we'll run water and compressed air through the other way. Okay. So if the dirt came in and got packed in here, coming through the other way, it might push some of that out.
It might help.
It's not 100%, but if you could do that for a couple $100 instead of spending $1,000 and it improved the situation or corrected it, it might be worth a try.
Then you can sell your car and get another car and not have to worry about it.
There you go. Yeah, it's someone else's problem.
Exactly.
And then the last thing everybody thinks about is, and I just want to touch base on, they come in, they don't have any heat, and they say, I think I need a thermostat. I think I need a thermostat.
Oh, yeah.
Thermostats don't fail as often as they used to.
Because they used to.
Oh, yeah.
I remember,
yeah.
we take them out, which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, and then you had no heat because it wouldn't go. Yeah, exactly. But it didn't overheat.
No.
But an easy way that anyone can check their thermostat. Most cars have a temperature gauge. When you're driving down the road, after you've been driving for 15, 20 minutes, if that temperature gauge is in the middle or slightly towards the hot side, your thermostat's working.
Okay.
Because it's getting the antifreeze as hot as it should be to circulate through the heater core. If your thermostat is down on cold or maybe at what I would call a quarter tank, like if you're comparing it to a gas gauge, there's probably a problem.
Something wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. But again, real quickly, light special. Last
headlights.
week till Friday, $23 per headlight. You need two, obviously.
Yep.
You don't want to drive around with a padiddle, as they say, and somebody will hit you in the chest. Yeah, so not a good thing. So about $51, get the good lights in. Just put them in there. They really do make a big difference.
And you know what? Just based off your experience and testimonial, I'll give people a money-back guarantee. If we put them in, and a week later you think it was a waste of money or didn't like it, come back, we'll put your old headlights back in and give you your money.
Not a waste of money.
The worst is a slug bug padiddle, because then you got two.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Ron the Car Guy, outstanding again. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
We'll be back. This is Great Day.